All right, we are live. We're going to see if the volume works. Olga, do you want to check the volume? My hair is growing back a little bit. I was told my color is better this week versus last week. I'm not quite so sure. We'll see. Yeah. Oh, okay. Checking the volume right now. Testing 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Olga, is it working? Welcome.
I'm gonna move right here, so I can hear.
Okay. I'll try to speak louder.
That's usually why I said over here.
Right. Not close enough to that? We're good? Okay. All right. I think the volume's working. Let me see if I can get back to comments. We are about to start. Has the meeting started? Liz Gunther's is going to be, Liz is going to be here working tomorrow, as I'm told. Her first shift at the office all by herself. She can't hear. So, okay. It's been a busy week. Since people are curious, I'll tell them all my health issues, and I'll just people like checking at the beginning of it. I had some sort of infection or whatever they had to get, so was doing a low grade fever and all that kind of stuff. Obviously when they're cutting out all that kind of stuff in your abdomen there. So they put me on antibiotics on Monday, and it's been great ever since. So
it took a few days.
it takes a few days to recover. So it's almost, but when you have this low grade fever thing, it's like comes and goes and comes back, and it gets up to like 100 or 101, and you're like, what do you do? And you feel like you got the flu, and I'm like, then you feel better a couple hours later, and
and then you never want to call the doctor because then you start feeling better.
Right.
And then it's nighttime and the fever is up again. So Monday morning, I think Saturday night, I told him no matter how good you feel tomorrow, which is Sunday, Monday morning, I'm calling the doctor. So I don't want to hear it. So we did.
And they got us in, and they checked some stuff, and then they had me do a CT scan because they want to make sure there's nothing leaking or backing up or anything into your abdomen. So they did that. I mean, it was interesting because we went to the doctor, I think at 1:15, saw them, and they were like, "Oh, we can do this type of stuff, but we want to see if we can get you a CT scan to make sure." No, I'm like, "Well, why don't we get the CT scan first?" And we got a CT scan in 30 minutes. So so it was at a different facility. So they just said, drive over there, get the CT scan, and they read it, stat, and everything looked good. So I was pleased. So the antibiotics just needed to clean everything up. So take that for 10 days and move forward. So
Hopefully this is it.
hopefully this is it. So, so I thought I was going to be 90% this week, and it hasn't been quite 90%. So, but better than last week. So, all right. On the political side, things have been crazy town in a good way, and it's funny that and I will re-explore the Epstein thing and how the left tried to use that to split the MAGA America First side. They try to grab hold of something. You can literally watch them try to play their games and mentally manipulate stuff. But at the same time, what I keep trying to tell folks is to watch what's going on. And I can't believe the amount of news that comes out every day. And I tell Olga, and certainly when I would be having a fever or feeling tired or something like that, I'm like, I don't know how this guy continues to do everything he does. He literally is nonstop. Now, I know he's got a team and he's got people and he's got, all that kind of stuff that he needs. But I'm like, he is 24/7. And I've never seen anybody work as hard as I used to work that hard, but I'm not sure I can do it. And he's 79 years old. So it ought to encourage a lot of us that there's a lot more we can do. And when I say do, I mean actually doing things. Because, we can all meet and talk and follow stuff in the news and all that kind of jazz, but we got to get a lot more focused on actually doing things. And I think what Trump has done is had his whole list of things that the America First Policy Institute spent their 4 years putting together, and now they're just implementing it. And I'm like, I think they have a daily plan for the next 3.5 years. And I'm like, what? I hate to be the thing that's 3.5 years from now, but I'm like, these guys have got so much planned. I just don't know what more can we do. But even like, the one, I think he was confirmed to the Third Circuit Court of Appeals, that Bove guy, BOVE. they did not want that guy sitting on the Court of Appeals. And they are infiltrating and putting people in places throughout government all over the place that I don't think even that 99% of people fully realize exactly what's going on. And we ought to be really super excited about it and understand that it's like running a symphony. Look at Donald Trump up there as the maestro doing this type of stuff, but he has the biggest symphony going on. And it's just like, each piece of it has to work in certain orders. And that's why I think if you watch, what goes on with the Federal Reserve, I took a class in college back in the late 80s, must have been probably 88 or so, called Money and Capital Markets. And one of the first presentations the professor did that taught it was like, you want to know who's the most powerful person on the planet? And everybody thinks the president and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, it's the Fed chairman. Because the Fed chairman can literally change interest rates, move them up and down. Now, our Fed chairman dropped interest rates twice before the November election last year, obviously trying to bump things up, help Biden out. And now we have lower inflation, everything, growth is looking great, all that good stuff, and he won't lower interest rates. And then you go check the barometer against all the other state or countries that are out there and their interest rates, and they have dropped rates and they're doing things and all that kind of stuff. But that's why you see Trump beating on Chairman Powell, because that's the problem. This is part of the symphony. And part of the symphony is you've got to get those interest rates down so we can get the growth that they want to get to dig us out of this $37 trillion worth of debt. So that's why you see him pounded on it. And my guess is, based on the fact that he went and interviewed or went and walked the 2.5 now $3.1 billion renovation. It's probably reconstruction or what. I mean, that's a lot of money to spend. But I mean, he wrote a nice little note. Oh, it was an honor to go see it. My guess is he's gotten them in the corner where they're going to do the right stuff. Hopefully, we'll get some lower interest rates and some things like that. So the whole thing is very interesting. But I don't know if anybody noticed when they talked about that $2.5 billion price tag to renovate the Federal Reserve building. And I don't know if you've ever been to DC and seen it. It's not a big building. So, I mean, I think it has to do with the complex and some things that are associated with it and the digging down deep and all that kind of stuff. But I'm like, you know what they blamed the price increase, because now it's gone up to $3.1 billion? Tariffs. The tariffs are called. I'm like, I don't think anybody's buying that. So, I mean, yes.
You'd be surprised
Who is? What do you mean? Who is buying the tariffs? Or
buying the argument?
The argument? Well, a lot. That's back to the mental manipulation. So that's where and I kind of wanted to talk about this based on some other things that have gone on this week, and so we have to be very careful to understand who people truly are in their soul, and understand who they are when they have the opportunity to stab you in the back, and will they do it, that type of stuff. And I've actually struggled as of late, and I hate to say it's a struggle, because we all know, we all say it with Lindsey Graham, every 2 years, every 6 years, he's good for a small time period going up to re-election. And he's actually doing some things and seems to be supporting Trump and all that kind of stuff. But what does he do in the other 4 years? I mean, but we all get that. A lot of us get that in regards to Lindsey Graham and some people like that. But who try to translate that into people we know locally, into people that are here. Because everything that I see that goes on in DC, I think goes on here locally as well. It just, we don't identify it as the same type of activity. But I will tell you, it's all human nature, and the fights that they're fighting up there are the same fights that we're fighting down here. There was a presentation on closed primaries, or somebody was talking about closed primaries, and sounds great, sounds perfect. It's, we have some allies in the South Carolina State House that are going to help us with closed primaries, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, well, 6 months ago, we gave those people an opportunity to get us closed primaries, really. We were going to get the caucus system, help us get reorg, help us get rid of Drew McKissick, help us get rid of all that type of stuff. We can give, or at least have, the caucus process, which is in state law today, to use as a hammer against, because I'm telling you, they don't want a caucus system. There's not a single legislator that wants to have to go through in Greenville County that wants to go through Greenville County Republican Party to get the Republican branding or the nomination, right? They'd rather go through a primary system that they can sit there and lie to everybody or get Democrats to come vote in our Republican primaries. So they'd much rather that. But they certainly would rather have a primary, even if it's, registration by party and all closed primaries, versus the caucus system, because that would be even more difficult for them to kind of get that nomination. And we offered that to these folks, and they wouldn't help us. And they stabbed us in the back, and they actually worked on the other side and all that kind of stuff. But and I get a lot of grief for pointing those people out. And I also, it discourages people sometimes when I point that out and say, yeah, that person actually did boom, 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 boom. And you're kind of like sitting there going, oh, well, where do we turn now? The message has always been and will continue to be, we have to replace the people that are in office today. Sadly, 95% of them aren't good. Now, and even the ones that we start getting in there, they start getting co-opted by the Rhino establishment or the left, or, because they go and talk to everybody. They don't just come to our meetings, they go and talk to everybody. If I'm a legislator, I actually think it would be a lot of fun. Invite me to come to any and every meeting, but the Democrats aren't going to invite me to come to stuff. But I mean, I would find it a challenge. We were talking to somebody last night that said, oh, one of the people who got unelected, did not get reelected to county council this past term. One of the people that voted for the tax increase refused to come back to this person's meeting because, he was called out in the meeting. I'm like, what are you called out for? For doing what you actually did? You're upset if somebody pointed out at a meeting in public of what you did. I mean, ask me anything. I mean, I don't know why they don't. I mean, they should be able to say, hey, I did this, this, and that because of X, Y, and Z, and convince the people of it. Now, we as a group are much more skeptical because we don't trust or believe anything. Because that's kind of what we teach. Don't trust anybody, don't trust everything. Follow up, check the details, all that type of stuff. And they don't like that. Most of the time, it's like, oh, some legislator came and spoke to us. He or she seems like a nice person, and I can't tell this person that's running for re-election versus this guy that's running against him, right? You really can't tell. And because not you, I was pointing to Jerry behind you.
Someone like, you guys know more about this than I do. I wasn't told about this.
Oh, we sent out an email, and I think you responded, right?
Yeah.
We need people to run for office. I went to your computer and responded for you.
We did, so if you want to talk about it.
Yes.
A little bit. I witnessed it last night.
Yes. Yeah. Go ahead.
It was a meeting and about city council races, and they were they were people that are currently sitting on the city council, and they were people that are going to challenge some of those people, including Jerry. And we're super excited that Jerry is running.
Yes.
But if you don't know anything, if you heard the incumbent yesterday, you would think he's one of us. If he was one of us, I don't think Jerry would sign up to run and challenge him.
Right.
My head was exploding.
Who was the incumbent? I'm sorry, I don't know. Who is the incumbent?
The guy that was giving a story about his driving his grandbaby to the daycare every
Oh,
day.
of course, yes.
Right, so if you
Yes.
heard him, wouldn't
Yes.
you think
Yes.
he's the right person
Absolutely.
to vote for?
Yes.
Like, why in the world would we
Why would we challenge a guy that is
give a
good?
platform to someone
Wow.
that we want to get rid of because his voting record is not good? And didn't he sound great last night?
Yes.
Right? But did anyone ask him any challenging questions? Why didn't we?
Because we have to. And that was one of the other things. One of the other speakers is a gentleman by the name of Taft Matney.
Oh my lord.
Taft Matney.
The one with the bow tie.
Oh, God. But he's in Malden.
Yes.
Oh,
Walden
he's
City Council.
terrible. I could figure that out
Okay.
immediately.
And I'm glad you
did.
could
Do think
figure it out.
everyone figure it out, or people were impressed
There were
with
very
his
few
knowledge?
people from Malden, but let me tell you, that man was the best.
Why are we giving that person a platform? You know, and I heard he was challenged on the impact fees
By
and
Jerry.
didn't understand it. And,
And what was his
Yeah,
answer?
yeah.
Well, we talk about it.
well, the real answer
We
is
talked to
because
consultants.
yes,
And
From
the
Charlotte.
from
Yeah,
Charlotte.
from Charlotte. That's when he said that. I went, that
What?
explains a lot right there.
Yeah.
And he said, and they advise against it.
Put his website up there, TAFTMATNEY. Now, and we know Taft because we see him
TAFT.
TAFT
Awesome.
Matney MATNEY.com. You know, and we know him
Let's
because
remind everyone we're about educating people. So
Right.
this is education. This is not to pick on anyone. We just
Oh,
want people to know.
It was
It's a case
obvious,
study.
in my opinion.
and I don't know if you put it up there, you don't have to put it up there, but
Do I want to really put it
no, I want people to see who he is. Because you know what is his business? And I'm like, did anybody ask this guy what he does for a living at the presentation? And I'm like, well, nobody asked because probably nobody knew. But I know Taft runs a group that is public relations and governmental affairs. What is that? What is that?
Red flag.
It's a red flag, yes. But that's a lobbyist.
Yes.
Has anybody in that group gone and looked up Taft Matney on SC Ethics? Go to SC Ethics and look him up, and you will see, his lobbyist disclosures all the way back. It's a very long thing. I see it going back to 2009. So why do we want, as an elected official, somebody who's a lobbyist? Number one. Now, there may be an exception to the rule out there every once in a while, but I mean, when I see somebody in the back
That's him.
of every single, Greenville County Council meeting,
That's him.
and I see him, and guess who he represents on why we know him more particularly? It's because he represents the people pushing government-run school choice down at the State House.
Oh, wow.
I've seen him down there, sitting there in the meetings with, people like Senator Shane Massey,
What's his last name?
Matney, MATNEY, Taft Matney. This is what we've got to get and
The
educate
ABC
people
of
about.
school choice. I mean, and look who's up there.
Who?
Chad Conley.
Are you kidding me?
So think of this. Everybody is upset with Chad Conley because Chad Conley is the one that did the testifying against Pickens not being seated at the SCGOP state convention back on May 3rd. Is that when it was? Whenever it was, the state convention. That's who Taft's working with.
I mean, he has to,
So people who sit there and claim, oh, we're against Drew, we're against Chad, are sitting there promoting Drew and Chad's ally in Taft Matney. They're the people that sit there and say, oh, we're against government-run school choice, we're against all this, UN agenda and all this stuff, are sitting there helping the guy that is promoting government-run school choice, UN, UNESCO agenda. So this is where, we see that. That's why, to get back to, the Lindsey Graham piece. We see that in Lindsey Graham. We know that. We've seen him fight and oppose Trump and do all those types of things that drive us crazy, at the time. And then we're sitting there helping them, the same type of people at the local level. And I equate what goes on the national level and what, if you want to think about from this week, what Tulsi Gabbard is out there pushing and focusing on, the deep state conspiracy to taint Trump and to Russia hoax in 2016, 2017, what James Clapper and Brennan and all those people did to really kneecap Trump in the first 4 years and to taint that and steal the 2020 election. The same thing goes on here. How were we kneecapped in 2021 when we took over, of leadership of the Greenville County Republican Party? We were kneecapped because, she's an elite. They were sitting there saying I was a criminal because I was harboring an illegal. because she was illegally in this country. So of course, since I keep her in the house,
That's amazing.
you know, that's, you know,
That's it.
but it was all kinds of things. There's a person that out of the Botany Woods precinct. He was a doctor teaching over Bob Jones. I don't recall his name, but he was going around to my neighbors taking a dossier. We know about the Steele dossier. There was a dossier. This guy was going around taking people, you know, in my neighborhood, saying, "Why are you supporting this guy?" You know, that type of stuff. Right. There are people that we know now that are going around saying, "Oh, look at this tax audit from the South Carolina Department of Revenue in regards to Jeff and Olga and Palmetto Kids First from 2015." And they're sitting there, they don't ask us a single question about it, but they're going around showing it to people, talking about it. Oh, look, look at all this stuff. The Department of Revenue would have never written that down if it was not true.
Right.
I'm like, really?
Never
And what I find hilarious is the people promoting that promote some of the biggest conspiracies on the planet are the same ones going around saying, "Oh, but look at what the South Carolina Department of Revenue said about Jeff and Olga and what they were doing." And I'm like, I literally want it. I mean, it's so old news. It's like 10 years ago. I'm like, I literally want people to know about it. That's why we will probably put out an article, and I think we put them out in the past, but we've shown people, because I would love to sit down and go with you with everyone the 15 points that the South Carolina Department of Revenue put into their report, their audit report. Which, think about this, the audit report that they made subject to FOIA. Imagine, this is what I've talked to every CPA and tax lawyer out there about this. And I asked them, have you ever seen where the IRS or the local Department of Revenue, State Department of Revenue, has made an entity's audit subject to the Freedom of Information Act? Ask your dad. He is a CPA. Think about, I mean, your tax return is your private information, all that kind of stuff. They sat there and made our audit subject to FOIA. The audit report was super thick, it was a whole bunch of pages, and they put a disclaimer thing at the top. This report is subject to the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act. That was in coordination with the lobbyists, so they can go print it out on super thick bond paper and stick it in every House rep, all 124, and all 46 state senators' inbox in their offices. That's what they did. They literally did it. And you don't think it was in concert with the South Carolina Department of Revenue? And it was, and it's amazing the things that are in the report, because I, as a CPA, look at it in tax law, I'm like, this is insane, this is insane, this is insane. We're screaming from the mountaintop about it. It is literally why we're involved in politics today, because of that audit report and the corruption that came out of the South Carolina Department of Revenue. We know that the IRS targeted Tea Party groups.
Yes, they do.
They did. We know that. We all talked about it. We've all realized it. We've all complained about it. Some people have gotten involved in politics because they're like, oh, this is corruption, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what happened? The South Carolina Department of Revenue did the exact same thing to us, sort of in reverse. And it's everywhere. That's why I say what goes on at the national level is literally going on at the state and local level too. We just have to step into it. And I'll have the conversation. I've sent a FOIA request to the South Carolina Department of Revenue asking if they've ever had an audit report subject to FOIA. The answer is no.
We were the first.
We are the one and only organization that's ever been audited by the South Carolina Department of Revenue, and their audit report was made subject to FOIA.
Congratulations.
Oh.
We have seemingly made law in
that was
multiple
also-
ways.
That was also, it was a lot of first ones in that case.
Yes.
Another first one was my face picture on the above the fall Sunday newspaper.
Front page of the state newspaper.
For what?
Beautiful.
Via FOIA, we discovered that the main auditors were basically making sexual comments about me in between emails after I went and met with them for an interview. When we're audited. So
We FOIA'd stuff. stuff from the Department of Revenue. Because I could tell in this audit, it was like, this is not normal. I've dealt with audits before. This is, it's fun. I've always kind of wanted myself to be personally audited. I had a client that was a partner at a big accounting firm, or had been in his prior life. He ran a business and he was an entrepreneur at this stage. But he got audited, and I'm like, where's client service people? I'm like, you want me to go handle it for you? You want me to put everything? It's like, nope, give it to me. I've been waiting my entire life to get audited. So when we got audited, I was kind of excited too. I mean, like, this will be fun. And, because I save everything. I mean, every single receipt I got scanned. So I've got everything in during that audit. They would request information. I put it all together, email it back to them. And then I could tell this was in Charleston. We still live in Charleston. It would go to the local audit people there in Charleston. They would email it up to Columbia. They get an answer what to do, come back to us. And I'm like, I didn't see the email trail, but I could feel like there's something not right. These are not normal questions. It's not normal stuff. It's all kind of weird and all that kind of jazz. And so I sent a big FOIA request asking for all the communications related to our audit. And they sent me back, I guess it was like 1 or 2 boxes, probably this big. It was a lot of documentation, paperwork. And I was sitting there going through the stuff. And Olga had already gone in and met with the audit staff there in Charleston. And it was the senior auditor out of Columbia, and it was the senior trainer out of Columbia, that the people that teach you not to say stupid stuff.
A trainer that teach people officers.
Right.
Coldplay Gate for Coldplay Gate.
Yes,
There you go.
yes, and you stole my thunder, because that was coming. But I mean, he's literally the trainer. He's like the HR guy, just training people not to do certain stupid things. They were making email exchanges talking about having her come back into the office so such and such could see her and
people
talk
that
to her.
interviewed me, and they didn't do anything wrong. It was a male and a female. Again, they were professional, young.
The local Charleston people were
Right.
fine. They didn't do anything wrong.
We were asked for an interview. I went with all the binders, materials, and I had no complaints about them. They were
He was
professional.
professional. The
They
kid
were
was
nice. The male was nice, whatever, quiet guy, just did his thing. But in the emails, they were making it sound like the male was like wanting to see me again. And how could they lure me back into the office? So, and I guarantee you, it didn't come from that guy. Like, it came from just the head people making fun of him and me, for that matter.
Yes,
It was
right.
really ugly.
Was it video recorded? So they
They-
Wow.
But the emails were there.
But no,
And it was
the
the
emails.
fact that they were talking
Yeah,
about
but
it
I
in
see
email.
how they trigger those emails if they hadn't seen
They
the
could-
video or something.
They were literally pigs creating stories.
They were
Just for
pigs,
fun.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, let's be bullies and make fun of someone. Unprofessional, like.
But-
it's
but
just
it-
disgusting.
But think about this. It's also what gets people to say, I'm sick of this whole thing, and I leave, and I quit and
Yeah.
get out and walk away.
That's what
I will tell you, and this was that was in 2015. We were actually going through and doing Olga's paperwork for her citizenship and all that kind of stuff back in the day. And we stopped. She stopped. She was like, I don't even feel safe in this country as opposed to and we just put it all on hold, and obviously we did it 9 years later. But I mean, that's why she didn't get her citizenship earlier. And don't forget, there are people that are walking around today showing, or have been over the past 6 months, showing this audit report like, oh, look, we found something. We called Jeff and Olga, and they really are horrible, horrible people. And I'm like, have you come and asked me one question about it? Have you been to any of the presentations where we literally talk about it? I mean, the reorg trainings we did back in 2021, that was how we explained why we were involved and what we were doing and all the school choice stuff. It's
I
like,
think the one thing for people that haven't heard about it, and just to clarify, the big audit that was done in the report, what we did wrong, it was never enforced. We didn't have to correct anything. They sat on it for a year and a half, and we would say, okay, do you want another interview? Do we need to come in and show you how we're correcting these mistakes, even though we didn't agree with them, but you wanna make whatever they want to, right? A year and a half later or 2 years, we just got an email, finally, after reaching out, what's the status? They just said, consider the audit closed. That's it, consider it closed. And Jeff, I think you asked for a letter.
Yeah.
They said, no, just consider it closed. We never were like, again, I don't, if we did so much wrong, our organization still exists today. We never were, I mean, we didn't have to correct them.
The main issue with the school choice, if we had done all these bad things, they could have and should have shut us down. Now, in the law, if they had shut us down, but the other organizations continue to operate in this free market school choice environment, that would be fine. Shut us down, but if they shut us down, then we go to the South Carolina State Administrative Court. There's nothing in that audit report they would be able to win in front of a judge. Now, trial judge, that's why they did it.
So that's why they couldn't
That's why
shut
they
us down,
couldn't shut
because
us down.
so they created basically a chaos and drama, which reminds us now what, if you follow,
But think about what they did with Trump and Russia. So, I mean, it's
Well,
almost like everything kind
Curtis
of,
Loftus in our
well,
They're
state.
doing it with
Look at what they-
Epstein right now.
Yeah.
They're trying to say that Trump was on that list, just to
Right.
distract us from the fact that Obama and
yes,
Hitler and
Exactly.
yes.
Yeah.
And what's amazing about the Epstein thing, it is well known, publicly documented. It was a big scene that Trump kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago, the club, because he was hitting on one of the other guests' teenage daughters and all. I'm like, that's the guy you want. And now they're saying, I mean, you know, I can't wait to see on TV. Oh well, you know, Epstein must have been competing with Trump for those, you know. I'm like, you know, come on, you got to be kidding me. But I'm like, it was public. I mean, imagine us purging somebody from our group because they were doing, you know, disreputable things, and come back later and say, oh, well, that person was part of your group. You must be supporting what they were doing. You know, I'm like, no, he purged that person. I'm like, and it was like in 2003 or something like that. It was like 10 years before most of this stuff kind of came to light. Yes. I'm like, that should be like, you know, he should be put on a pedestal because he did that. You know, and it probably didn't necessarily help him, you know, kicked out a member and somebody was paying or whatever. You know, but I'm like, that's what, you know, it's just, how do they twist all of this around?
There are all kinds of, on YouTube, clickbaits with Trump and young girls. And, you know, it's, I mean, I don't even, you know, click on it. I don't even look at it. Just
turn it off.
I do. But they're really trying to identify him with the Epstein list. And
I don't know if
they should have done it years ago if it was real.
Right, you don't think they would have done it?
Absolutely, they would have.
But I mean, look, and I saw it this morning because it just showed up on my little Facebook feed or whatever. The Post and Courier put on Facebook, wrote an article about Ralph Norman is going to run for governor. And I think he does have an announcement on Sunday about, and I assume everybody expects him to announce that he's going to run. But literally the headline of the article talks about the fact that, you know, Ralph Norman, you know, he's going to run for governor because he's such, you know, he was such a supporter of Donald Trump.
But he wasn't.
Right. Right. And that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I'm literally reading this and I'm like, did you realize he endorsed Nikki Haley against Donald Trump? But it's like, and it almost like that they're trying to promote that he's going to have all the support from the MAGA base because he was such a Trump supporter and he wants to cut spending. I'm like, seriously? I'm like, I don't even get it. You know, but that's, most people only read that little blurb, the headline, the clickbait, if you will,
Exactly.
and nobody's going to know that, oh, he endorsed Nikki Haley. But I mean, that's where it becomes incumbent on us as the party to educate people about it. And because the people that are involved in the party are pretty involved in what's going on. And even us, a lot of our people don't know the facts in circumstances around a lot of things that go on. And we even fall for the tricks. So if we're actually looking for the tricks and trying to prevent ourselves from falling for the tricks, and we fall for the tricks, what is the average person who's trying to make a living to take care of their kids and get the grass cut and follow football or whatever the heck they do? What I used to do in the old days before I can't watch football anymore because I know the world's collapsing around us. So I mean, it's that type of stuff, and then I've said it from the beginning. That's what we're trying to learn, you know. And it was actually there was a question. Olga met with somebody the other day, and they were talking about some of this type of stuff that goes on, and they're like, oh well, you know, this person mentioned this tax return audit thing, and Olga made the point is that person has never come and asked us a single question. Now they took a copy of it, went to you, and sat down and said, "Oh, look at all this stuff! Look at all this stuff! The dossier, the steel dossier." You know, but I'm like, they've never come and asked Jeff and Olga anything about it. When I'm like, "Oh, you want to come talk? I mean, I will sit there and we can have it on TV." And wake somebody up.
Poor Daniel.
You know, I mean, because I want people to learn about it. I will tell you, one of the things in that report that I'll tell you about one of them. There's one of the sections talks about, and it's in the actual code section. And I can't remember the exact title, what the code section says, like illegality is, and it says forgery and this type of stuff. But it is the title of it. But what it really is if you change a document, adjust a document, a tax document or something like that, you know, and it uses the term forgery in the top of it. And that's why they try to connect all this kind of stuff with me. And then, but what we were doing is we would take the form, the donation form from the South Carolina Department of Revenue, and pre-fill it out, the information for our donors. And then we would take it.
Well, pre-filled out.
We pre-filled out
Organization's name.
right, who they were donating to, what our address was, what our EIN
That's something
number,
you would do
normal stuff.
to provide a great customer service to
No.
your clients.
Anybody here use a CPA or I mean, maybe not, but I'm like, you know, that's literally what we did for our clients. We filled out the forms for the clients so they would be as easy as possible for them to review and then just sign. I mean, we literally do it. I mean, that's what you do. That's the job. We did that, and that was one of their complaints, is because we filled out the form for the clients. And then they used this code section saying it was, you know, I can't even remember what it was. But it was, you know, I mean, go through it and analyze it, and you know, get into the weeds and the details. And I know it sucks because most people don't have the time or energy or inclination to kind of get into that weeds and detail. But then I encourage it, because then you realize whoever brought it to you is lying to you. You know, and they're doing it for an ulterior motive. You know, and in anything we present, I'm happy for people to come back and push us and challenge us on it and all that kind of stuff. You know, we saw Mark Lynch was on the Steve Bannon show yesterday. Yes. And I guess Mark must have made some comment about Lindsey Graham being a traitor. Which, you know, everybody likes to say that. But Bannon challenged him on, do you have the receipts? Are you going to get out there and show this type of stuff? You know, where he actually did it. And Mark kind of stumbled around on that. And Bannon kept pushing him on it a little bit. But I'm like, you know, that's, you know, you have to have the receipts. You have to be able to show people stuff, walk them through the process. And I think that's why we've been successful, is because we've actually stepped people through. We haven't told people what to believe. But we've said, hey, look at this, consider this, bring the other person to the table. How many times do we sit there and say, I want Adam Morgan sitting right here so we can talk about it?
Yes.
Adam, you said you were on a work trip. I was told by people you went to D.C. to lobby for money for your, you know, congressional run. Where were you? It's a single question we asked over and over and over, and he refused to answer. Because in the initial phase, he sat there and said, oh, I missed a vote. And the vote was on that, I think it was on the health SAR bill or one of the things that was out there, you know, that he got up there and spoke about, was fighting all this kind of stuff, and then missed the vote.
He missed many votes.
Yeah, we missed a whole bunch of them, but
Yeah.
this was a pretty critical one because he was the one down at the well sitting there fighting. No, we got to fight this back, blah blah blah. And then you look at the vote sheet and you're like, I didn't vote on it. Why was he not there? Oh, I was on a work trip. I got all respect in the world for people that got to go on a work trip, or okay. So I was in Ohio singing, Captain Morgan or whatever, Admiral Morgan, whatever his, Pax the Pirate thing is down the street. I'm like, okay, well, if you had said that is fine. I'm not going to give you a hard time. He has never to this day said where he was. While I had people tell me, oh, Adam was in D.C. soliciting money from dark money, from those types of people up there to sit there and run for Congress. And I'm like, do we want to elect a guy to Congress who's already lying to us before he's even in Congress? But I was the bad guy because I just asked that question. I mean, it's a harder road, and I told one of our guys the other day, text with told it, it's a much harder road to sit there and try to be as principled as you can. But it's the only way to, I think, build on a solid foundation of bedrock versus sand. Adam Morgan built his whole reputation on a foundation of sand. That once you start asking questions and pulling things out, it just all collapses and people start seeing. So even people that may not have liked William Timmons are like, well, this guy is not any better. So let's deal with Timmons until we can find somebody that is better, that type of stuff. So, and I'll remind everybody, Timmons has said that he's only running for 10 years. So he's got one more election in him. So the big issue is we got to find somebody to run for Congress in 2028. So for the 4th Congressional District.
And it may be, Josh Kimbrell.
And apparently it's not going to be Josh Kimbrell. So anybody know about Josh Kimbrell? What happened with him
No.
this week? Olga, you want to?
Who is he?
Josh Kimbrell's a state senator out
Oh my
of.
God, yeah.
Oh, you know about it?
That $2 million.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What?
Okay.
This
Oh,
is what's been reported.
this is what's been reported.
He's from where?
Spartanburg.
I guess innocent until proven guilty.
Yes. Innocent
Yes.
until let's let finish this investigation.
What's his name?
Josh Kimbrell. He was apparently he was the chairman of the he was chairman of the Spartanburg GOP.
That's right.
And then he ran against a Democrat for state senate and won that race, which good thing. Glad we took out Glenn Reese, who was the Democrat over there. Only bad thing about taking out Glenn Reese, who was the Democrat over in Spartanburg, is he owns the Krispy Kremes over there. So we would call, that's actually the name we would call him down at the State House. We'd call him Krispy Kreme because he always had Krispy Kreme. He would have coffee down, you see him on video where he always had coffee. There's always a Krispy Kreme cup.
And
So.
if you would go meet with him, he would meet you at his Krispy Kreme shop
There you
and
go.
treat you to donuts.
Right there in Spartanburg. You just go meet, he'd be
First-hand
sitting in there.
experience.
She did it. I didn't do it. But she did come back to it with a couple. I gave you, did he give you a 4-pack of donuts or something?
I remember it must have been close to Halloween because they were like these spiders and stuff. So what happened?
Well, Josh Kimbrell apparently in his business, and there's been all kinds of allegations in the past, but he has most recently announced that he was running for governor. So he realized that. That's why his name is being bandied around a good bit. He is a state senator, so he beat Glenn Reese, so that he's out there. He's opposed to us. He supported his whole governor-owned school choice, all this kind of stuff. He actually filed a bill to limit the number of pro se lawsuits that an individual can file. Who could that be up against? Because obviously Josh thinks, believes what they told him, that I filed 500 lawsuits or whatever it is.
Pro se lawsuit?
Huh?
What's a pro se lawsuit?
Pro se, like you as an individual,
Ah.
pro se, and not represented by legal counsel. So, and it's already in the law. I mean, if a judge thinks you're filing frivolous lawsuits, they can sit there and kick them out and all that kind of stuff. So it is part of the whole process. Josh, to satisfy some people that dislike me, sat there and filed this lawsuit, this bill. It went nowhere. I mean, it of course gets assigned to judiciary. The only people it was him. The first time he filed, it was him and maybe 2 other people that were non-lawyers. It's because no lawyer would sign up for a bill that's already part of the law, and it's kind of a ridiculous thing to do because it is taking your rights away. You know, I mean, yes, if you're filing frivolous lawsuits, the judge, the court system can sit there and stop you from doing that or penalize you for doing that, and they do on occasion. But Josh is going to file a bill. No lawyer is going to go along with that type of stuff to take away people's rights. It was like, oh, you can file 3, pro se lawsuits. I was like, it was the weirdest. It was just humorous to watch, him try to do this and appease certain people that were against us. And but Josh's business apparently is he's in some sort of air chartering business or something like that. And they have a jet or something that well, apparently he got a business partner several years, had a jet, he didn't have it anymore. But apparently he had got a business partner, they were 50-50, and his business partner, I think 2 weeks ago, right after Josh filed for, to run, said he was running for governor, announced he was running for governor, his business partner filed a lawsuit here in Greenville County saying that Josh and his spouse and their banker, one of the local banks here, were actually had set up a separate company. So say the company is XYZ Aviation. They set up XYZ Aviation Aircraft. And then when they rented things out, they would tell if you charter something, oh, we'll just write the check to the second company, XYZ Aircraft Aviation or whatever, and then they would deposit it in these other accounts. It's a very common embezzlement scheme that's out
We had
there.
an idea.
Yes.
I know about that firsthand.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a very common thing. And that's why, and I will tell you, from a CPA perspective, what most companies will do is make their CFO or their finance people take a 2-week vacation because you can't hide this type of
Put
stuff.
out
too
the
much.
article, so the company's, the real company's name is Exodus Aircraft LLC. I think it's LLC. And according to the article, Josh Kimball created a fake business that's called Exodus Airways LLC. So he would apparently let people write checks that would just say Exodus Aircraft, Air.
The thing about it, I charter a plane.
Airward.
You tell me who to write the check to, I just write the check. Right?
So it's Exodus Airway, Exodus Aircraft. He made people, he would say just write a check to Exodus Aircraft, Airway.
And would he give it away, or would he just be able to deposit that wherever he wanted?
So apparently, there are 3 people named in the lawsuit: Josh, his wife Linnea, and
The bank.
a banker that was working with them, depositing these checks to the bank account according to the article.
I haven't quite figured out why the banker was even part of all this stuff, but they named the banker.
should have been questioning it.
Should have, but if I just open up a separate account at another bank account or another bank and just making those deposits in there, it's kind of it's a weird thing. But the banker, I think, is in trouble too. But apparently, that lawsuit was filed Monday or a week or 2 weeks ago, and then there was a consent order signed this week. Now, a consent order.
Just how big it was according to his fees too. Kimbrough has diverted in excess of $2 million over the last 2.5 years.
How long did this go on?
It says 2.5 years.
2.5 years.
Wow.
So it's a way to skim money off the top, and
Yes.
and apparently the other partner that he had brought in was the money partner, who apparently lives here in the city of Greenville. So and apparently he was trying to get records and financial records and figure out why is this not working. Well, if part of your revenue is being skimmed and put into a different account, and you don't know anything about it, that's why you start.
He's paying for the plane and he doesn't have any money in the account.
So it's a very common thing, and you'll see it like the bookkeeper will sit there and endorse a check over to a different company and deposit it into her account or his whatever the bookkeeper's account. It goes on all the time. It's very standard. This was just on a larger scale and involves a elected official. So obviously, innocent until proven guilty. But this week, apparently, a consent order, the judge ordered that Josh could not. What was the consent order? Everything was being given to the other partner. Olga? What was the consent? What was the consent order?
That he had to
Sign everything over to the partner.
and accounts.
So Josh apparently is giving the entire company to the other partner. The 50 and the plane, everything is being given over to the
So
other
I want
partner.
to. There's a.
But
comment-
realize it's not that the judge looked at a bunch of evidence and said, "Oh, this is this and that," because I'm like, that could happen within a week and a half time period. But what a consent order is, if we're having a lawsuit, if I go to you and we settle it, oh, here are the terms. Let's get the judge to sign off on it, and then that closes the case. So what essentially is it appears to me is Josh went there, said, "Oh, this is a big problem. I'll sign over the entire company to you. Hopefully this will go away." Now, what's going to be interesting is if the law enforcement continues to pursue it. The other partner may sit there and say, "Hey, I got everything. I'm clean. He's going to figure out a way. We've agreed to something. I'm out. Then I'll just run the company, shut it down, grow it, whatever he wants to do." But I mean, will law enforcement continue to follow up on Josh Kimbrell? He's committed a crime. It's not a crime just against that one partner. It's a crime against the society, and that needs to be pursued. Even if the other guy doesn't want to testify, doesn't want to pursue it anymore. I mean, this is not just between two regular people. This is an elected official that purports to want to run for governor, or is running for governor.
What district does he serve?
It's in northern Spartanburg. I don't know which.
So he could be replaced with someone, they
Could
could
be.
kick him out of his seat.
Well, if you're indicted, think about it. Just like what they did with R.J. May.
They
Once
sus-
R.J. May was indicted,
They suspend, but they cannot.
you can't take them out until they're
They
actually
have to
convicted.
Well, every person who's read a check in Exodus Air is a victim.
They are, yes, in that respect, yes.
I would like to address a comment online. It says there were no checks written. It was wire fraud. That's the issue. You all need to read about wire fraud, but to clarify, it was both. Just so I'm gonna read it because I don't like when people say we did wrong, but we did. So it says Kimbrell was instructing the individual or corporation to leave the crap away from the payer section of the checks or wires. So it was both checks and wires. So checks were involved.
Wealthy people, a lot of time, $10 fee or the bank will waive it. They'll just let you do wires. So normally you'll see an invoice, $20,000. You don't mail a $20,000 check. You'll just go ahead and here's the wiring instructions. Just wire it.
Isn't that a felony? Wire fraud is a felony.
It's federal. It'll be a federal
That
issue.
makes it a felony.
Well, not necessarily. A felony is anything with a penalty over a year.
Oh.
Misdemeanor versus a felony. But
Sorry,
I'm sure that is a felony. I'm sure that is a felony because the penalty is probably over a year. But yeah. So it's going to be interesting where this all turns out. But again, it's a legislator that is doing stuff. It looks like, oh, he's got a great little life and over there, living the high life and got a private plane and doing all this kind of blah 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 stuff. Private plane business. Not that he was using it for his own private stuff. But I mean, Josh Kimbrell was in Iowa pushing for DeSantis. Remember? I mean, that's where he was up there, pushing to get DeSantis elected. So, and I kept trying to think. Josh Kimbrell was the person who brought last summer. What's his name? Mike Pence. So he was here hawking Mike Pence when they thought Mike Pence would be able to, make some progress or at least raise some money and all that kind of stuff. And even at the time, we were like, Pence has zero chance, number one. But, Pence could probably go out there and raise some money, 10, 20, 30, $50 million. There's
Bob Jones, right?
probably, yes, the very far right Christian crowd would, they thought Mike Pence was, walking on water. And they would be willing to help fund him to see if they give him a shot. And it didn't go very far, so that's when Josh Kimbrell jumps over to DeSantis. Josh Kimbrell's not a Trump person. And it's, I will tell you, I mean, this is, to me, Trump is the litmus test. How do you feel about it? Or do you have the derangement syndrome about Donald Trump? If you got Donald Trump derangement syndrome, the problem is not Donald Trump, the problem is you. Donald Trump is not necessarily, God walking on water, but Donald Trump will tell you the truth. Yeah, I mean, he does exaggerate. So, he does like exaggerate a lot. So, but, I mean, that's, Presley used to exaggerate a lot. It's like, oh, how many people at the event? Oh, 300. Like, okay. There was 200 there, but I mean, they always, stretch it a little bit. It was always kind of cute. But I mean, that's what a real estate guy does. That's why everybody always kind of freaked me out. People are like, oh, he's going to cut the budget. I'm like, he's a real estate guy. Real estate guys believe in leverage. They all borrow money, because they, I can build this building for this amount of borrowed money and, flip it for this. And, the net between the two deltas, is my profit. So, but I'm like, he's a big spender. He's not cheap like me.
Do you mind to mention who that, when I walked in, you were talking about a person that endorsed Nikki Haley? I'm trying to get the
Ralph
candidates
Norman.
straight.
Ralph Norman. Ralph Norman is a congressman out of the 5th Congressional District, which is York County. Rock Hill, yes. And he's going to announce, I assume, he's making an announcement on Sunday at an event that he's hosting. I assume he's going to run for governor. So,
The only thing good about him is he has a very conservative voting record.
he does.
Congress.
But he always,
He picked the wrong candidate, but,
He needs to stay in Washington.
sorry?
He needs to stay in Washington.
maybe, I mean,
Because of the conservative voting record, right? Yeah. But
people want to be governor of the state. They, I want to run something bigger. He's one of 435 congressmen up there. He'd be one of one governor in the state of South Carolina. So everybody wants a longer legacy. My great great grandfather was governor. My great great grandfather was a congressman. Which one sounds better? So that's the legacy that they want to create. I mean, which is exactly why we have Henry McMaster right now. That guy ran for governor, wanted to be governor more than you could ever believe. So
That's a disaster.
oh yeah,
Absolutely.
McMaster, yeah. But he's not even running the show anymore. But he did go to Germany this weekend.
he
So,
did.
or
What
this
did he
week.
do there?
They're drumming up business for the state of South Carolina.
Oh,
Legislators.
You ought to find that online.
Speaker
Speaker of the House, President of the Senate. He's president of the Senate. They're all over there. I'm sure if you dug into it, this is where you have to dig in and find things. I'm sure they took the South Carolina State jet over there. Maybe it's too far to fly the regular jet, so they had to charter something else because they had so many people going. Then you got security issues and all that kind of stuff. So
And then have the millions of dollars to come here. you
Yeah.
know,
yes,
Like the scouts.
Yeah,
Project.
that
Yes.
was a disaster.
is that shut down yet?
They haven't done anything.
Have they stopped building?
I don't think they are. Yeah, I think they did.
I thought something had stopped. I don't know exactly, but yeah.
So he was trying to bring more businessmen into South Carolina. That would be a good thing.
Could be a good thing, or it could just be a boondoggle of a trip before he's out, after a year. So, but Olga made the comment today when she saw some of the pictures. It's like they'd never been to Germany before, and they're on,
And then I corrected
European
myself.
vacation with Chevy Chase.
Well, they probably have never been.
I mean, they might not have. So, but that's, I mean, there's legitimate reasons to do a lot of things, and sometimes it's just, payback and enjoying life. So. Anybody else got something interesting to talk about? Since we talked about Josh Kimbrough. Yes, sir.
I'd like to start off with the IRS. They recently announced some changes on how they're doing taxes. Churches can endorse candidates now.
Wow.
Do you-
Wow.
There's a
Y'all
lot
aren't
of-
aware?
There's actually
Yes.
quite a bit of caveats associated with this. Number one, the law that caused them to start that in the first place is still in effect. So it's more a matter of policy. Technically, since they made an arrangement, it's only with technically it's only with the churches that actually were suing them.
Makes sense, yes.
We
I
have,
haven't looked at the specifics and the details of it, so I am kind of curious, but
it's kind of convoluted from what I read, and I'm not an attorney, but from what I read, technically it would only apply to those who filed the lawsuit because it's an agreement. However, under Trump's administration, it's very unlikely that they would be too nitpicky with others. But apparently, churches can't at least endorse candidates. That doesn't give them open ticket either. Whatever a candidate, they can only endorse candidates on issues that are germane to their particular faith. Which pro-life is always. There's very few Christian churches that don't have pro-life as a tenet to their faith. So most Christian preachers should be able to freely not only talk about abortion, but could actually endorse a particular candidate who's pro-life.
what I'm very curious about, because a lot of churches will sit there and say, oh, we can't have you come speak, or you can't use our facilities because we don't be involved in anything political, because we don't want to lose our 501c3 status or something like that. And I've been to presentations, there's been constitution, I mean, name me one church that's ever lost its tax-free status because of a politician coming to speak. So this is going to be the additional evidence to be able to show these folks, hey, here is where they're actually saying you can't. Now, they may try to bring up the exceptions, or we weren't part of the lawsuit, so we could get in trouble, blah, blah, blah. But the reality is the churches don't want to get involved in politics because they don't want to piss people off. Every church probably has a parishioner that's okay with abortion and okay with some of these types of things. And guess what? They may be somebody who donates a fair amount of money to the church.
2/3 of the women who have abortions are practicing Christians.
Yeah.
That's a church you don't want to be part of
Right. And there are a few churches that actually push the boundary and have been pushing the boundary of what they can do. And to me, it even gets out there a little bit far. I'm like, ooh, I wouldn't even recommend that. And I'm an aggressive guy. But it will help us, to see and distinguish which churches are which way. So
Yeah, that's definitely information we need to put out. We need to take that crutch away from churches who want to remain silent.
yes.
Well, for me, abortion in particular, but for any other issues. I mean, a church can't promote a candidate because they're against the tax, because it's not the church's responsibility. Name me a church that actually that's actually set up on how much is appropriate to tax. So they could support a candidate on tax issues, but as long as it has to deal with morality, something that the church believes, they should have the ability to talk about it. Also on education, we're trying to find ways to make more people aware about not just the harm that the abortion pill does, but what everyday people can do. A woman who has an abortion, but it was done illegally, and if the woman got her pills through the mail, I guarantee you it's illegal. But for any woman who has an abortion, if the abortion was performed illegally, she has a right to sue the provider. Solicitors can do even more. Of course, the Attorney General could do more still. But we need to let people know. And 10% of the women are, according to the insurance companies, 10% of the women who take the abortion pill are suffering severe issues. So why aren't they being told that you can sue the company that made you suffer, that lied about the severity of the side effects, who lied to you about the severity of the side effects? You can sue them for that. So why isn't that word getting put out? And some of these women have actually died. The side effects can be so drastic.
I think it's going to be a good litmus test that we can ask this question to certain politicians and get them on the record, especially politicians like Alan Wilson, who had the opportunity to do something,
Right now.
and they're not doing it. And what I think, and not to jump ahead with something, but with another person is apparently considering throwing the name in the hat for South Carolina Attorney General, is a solicitor out of the Greenwood area, Newberry area, met by the name of David Stumbo. Is it David Stumbo? Are you keeping up with the chat questions?
Yes, I'm waiting for you to do it for a second.
Okay. But Stumbo is the one that or had the case out of Lexington, the Pamela Godwin in the Lexington County GOP in the embezzlement with Craig Caldwell. And Craig Caldwell served what? Just time served, 3 hours in jail for the $100 and some odd thousand he embezzled from the Lexington County GOP and the Rotary Club down there. And he only got a couple hours time served, 5 years probation and time served. Is that somebody we want representing, us? And I saw a post by Nancy Mace, she, as an attorney general, post by Nancy Mace about some guy that was caught with all kinds of pornography with children as young as 3 years old being raped and all that kind of stuff. And by animals. I like envisioning, put yourself in a position to understand what the hell's going on, something I don't want to understand. And what did the person get? A day in jail?
Actually, I don't know.
It was something.
It was like a question, so I think it's
So those are the types of things we need to nail these people down with. I've got 2 things I want to nail Stumbo on and 2 or 3 to nail Alan Wilson, where he actually was involved with it.
very
200
specific.
Yeah, very specific cases. You knew about it and you didn't do anything. The only person that can sue a nonprofit for embezzling money or doing something is the board of directors and the state attorney general. The board of directors on exceptional SC wasn't going to do anything because they're the ones on the hook for the $275,406 we keep bringing up that was misappropriated or whatever. It didn't go into the pot of children's scholarships like it was supposed to per the law, and it's all documented. But Alan Wilson wouldn't do anything. The board wasn't going to do anything, obviously, but why did Alan Wilson not go after it? Because the people involved are all politically oriented, or Chad Conley, who's the executive director, all that kind of stuff. He gets off because he was just a consultant and didn't actually sign the checks, or he thinks he is. But I'm like, and FitzNews has written the article, it's like, I don't really care who's responsible, but it's either the board or Chad Conley. If you don't want to go after Chad Conley, go after the board. You want to go to the board, go after Chad Conley. But somebody is responsible for $275,406. It was supposed to go to scholarships. But think about this, and I'm going to challenge you guys, and I see Ray, the other Ray, had put the stuff that Carrie had put together. I think we need to get something very short, very concise, hopefully 1 page, that says, here's the law. We can cite that, whatever that act was that you brought up. What is that act? The mailing of the
Comstock.
Comstock Act. That actually cites it, talks about it, and says, why are we not enforcing it? How do we get this enforced? What have you? And what's your position? What are you going to do? What are you going to do currently as Attorney General? What are you going to do currently as with Stumbo, or put them all on the hot seat? These people are supposed to be enforcing the law. And if they're choosing not to enforce the law, they need to have a darn good reason why they're not. But you can't go around and say, hey, I'm a big super pro-life guy when I'm not enforcing the law over here that will help further the pro-life agenda. So that's what gets me with some of the groups that are out there. Can you get plugged? I've got it plugged into there, actually. But people who are, that's what gets me with the pro-life groups, some of the ones here in South Carolina that have been advocating and having the big, fancy dinners and all that kind of stuff, and having the big, galas to raise a bunch of money, and having Lindsey Graham come and give them a $10,000 check and a nice little photo op, but they're actually not doing anything to further the movement. And that's what we got to point out. Yes, ma'am.
I've been wondering for a long time, why don't we offer women tubal ligations and men vasectomies for free? That's not killing any babies.
It's
adorable.
That is an adorable suggestion.
Well, the Nazis, they actually tried that, and the Nazis used that idea as well.
But this would be
We've always tried in this
option, not the person's option, you have an option to abortion.
Well, and just so people can hear online, the question was, why do we not offer
Tubal ligation.
tubal ligations or
And
vasectomies
It's free.
Yeah,
free to be able to help?
even in that regards, though, there's no such thing as
Oh, yeah.
contraception without abortion.
Dark text.
There's over 200 countries in this world that have abortion. Can you name one single country that has that allows contraception but does not allow abortion? They all start off with contraception, and contraception fails. Well, the whole purpose of contraception is to not have an unwanted child. So you're stuck with an unwanted child because contraception failed. So what's the next logical step? You abort it. We have to promote chastity. We have to tell people that you are a unique, wonderfully designed human being. You should not degrade yourself to a sex toy. That is not what God made you for. So we have to encourage chastity, which is not denial of sex, but it's using sex in the proper, it's having sex in the proper context.
Yeah, but I know a family that's already got 6 children under the age of 13, the age of 13, and I thought that the tubal ligation would be.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And-
No, whatever.
and-
I was gonna say somebody
Well,
said-
we-
She's expecting me.
Well,
There-
the reason I asked that, my doctor, after I lost 2 children, one that was 9 months in the US and the other was 6. I lost 2 children, got pregnant again. They said, well, this child lived, but my doctor said, you should not have any more children because it's going to ruin your health. So I had to go away from
And I haven't had that discussion where, I'm curious what you thought or Carrie thought about vasectomies and tubal ligation. I understand the concept of non-contraceptive and chastity and all that kind of stuff.
Natural family planning is actually more effective in preventing unwanted children than contraception is. Not only artificial contraception, not only that, but according to one study, people who practice natural family planning have a 50% chance less of getting divorced than those that do. People who, and the absolute worst thing that can happen to a marriage is for a man to get a vasectomy, because the chance for divorce is like more than doubled in marriages where the man had a vasectomy. If you think that you can have sex without consequence, that leads to going.
It's a much bigger discussion, but it's a discussion
It's a very
I've
big
actually never
discussion.
had, and I'm kind of curious about it. I'm not saying now is the time to do it, but I, there's arguments of all of this. And what I've always talked about in my life, in my journey, learning of this is, if you told me, when I was a kid, I didn't think there was necessarily a problem. And I was like, oh, it's just a bunch of cells and blah, 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 blah. But then as you kind of go through, and I do believe in not judging people on stuff, helping educate them and learn and figure out what the right answer is on this type of thing is, what you kind of turn, for me personally, it was when you flipped everything. I did not think it was my place to tell a woman what to do with her body. Then you kind of turn the whole thing upside down. It's like, well, it's not my place to tell a woman what to do with her
Or
body.
the men.
Right. But they're killing a living being. So then when you actually look at it from the perspective of the embryo or from the child, then you're like, oh, holy moly, they're killing somebody. You can't do that either. So, and it's like, which one takes precedent? Precedent is you can't kill somebody. Not me telling a woman or a man what to do with their body. I'm telling you can't
But
kill
it's not
somebody.
their body.
Right, exactly.
Exactly.
Well, that's the point. I'm kind of bantering around, but I mean it's another body.
They
Not my
claim
point to
it's
tell the
their
woman.
body, but really what we're
It's-
talking about
It's a
is
separate
child
body.
life
Yes.
and body.
But it took me to wake up about it. That's why I'm kind of curious about. And we'll talk about it all.
Oh, yeah.
I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, I'd love to have this discussion, love to have an opportunity where we can do an education event like this too.
It's a deep conversation.
Yeah.
But I'm like, imagine
Very
all the people
nuanced.
that are pro-abortion. That if you could actually have the discussion with them and get to the root of the issue and maybe help convert them. as I would say, I was converted. Nobody
Well, I think
I
that that's
taught.
what the enemy tries to do. He wants us to be up in arms so that no conversation actually takes place. where
Right,
Education
yes.
can take place.
Yes, they want to divide us all.
So the way we present
Yes.
these facts is hyper important because we sometimes have to meet the woman where she is
Right.
and bring her to a place gradually. Than expect to understand such a sophisticated, which I want to understand better. Ray, I know you're just awesome and Gary's just awesome. It would be nice to hear the debate on that.
Yeah,
Because I personally believe a woman is extremely formed in the days that she can get pregnant. So
she's made that way.
I don't know how she's.
We have
gonna
a
not
youth
get
here.
pregnant.
Let's be careful.
I'm-
He is 18 now, but I don't know.
18, okay.
That's the beauty.
That's
That's the beauty of the human
25 25 is the new 18.
And you're right.
Don't get me started on that, but
I don't want to make your mom and dad mad. So.
Well, education needs to be included for the men also, and how to treat women and what God's plan is.
But think about what Carrie is talking. Carrie, one of her big things is the natural family planning thing. And if you actually get into it and start thinking about it and start understanding it, and I don't know the numbers. You'd have to see the statistics whether a man with a vasectomy is more likely to cheat on a spouse. I don't know.
Much
Could be.
more. It's like the worst thing you can do for marriage, according to the study I read.
It would be an interesting thing. I don't know. I don't know.
To your
But I mean,
point,
I
to
know
your point, the whole
several men who have done it and have been married a very long time. So that's why I'm laughing. I'm sorry.
well, that's
But-
why we have to go with statistics. I guarantee
Yeah,
you, you're
okay,
gonna find
so
a faithful
my-
man in the group. But,
Okay.
when you look
I
at the
agree.
big picture, and to get to your point, that's the whole problem. Not the whole problem, that's one of the major problems I have with the whole abortion issue, because the man is not part of the discussion.
Mm.
It does, as long as a woman is able, it doesn't matter what the man thinks or wants or desires, she can have it. The man cannot say, no, I forbid you from having an abortion because it's my child, and I'm gonna protect my child. It's the pro-aborts that are taking the man out of the equation, not the pro-lifers. I promise you that.
it's all very interesting. And it's like, why do people not want to discuss? To me, this is the same conversation we ought to be able to have, where Adam Morgan ought to sit here and say where he was, on that particular day during that vote. I don't see a difference in it. We all ought to be willing to speak and talk about anything and everything.
And
So
pro-life issue is very rational, it's very loving, but it's also very hard to talk about. It's very easy to say, my body, my choice. It's a lot more complicated to say, you're better than that, and here's why you're better than that.
I think-
It's done boys and men a disservice by, for decades and decades, saying, boys will be boys. No, we have failed to teach men the honor of being a man.
I agree. And there's a purpose
As
behind it.
originally designed,
There's a purpose behind it.
and
Yes.
for what originally
I
designed.
think that if we are really serious about our lives and about our walk and about our instruction as to where we walk and the decisions we make in our life, we should read Psalms 139.
Psalms
Psalm
139.
Psalms 139 talks about that very thing. We are all fearfully and wonderfully made. So it's incumbent for each one of us to have a desire to walk down a path of instruction that will lead us in the right way, right?
Yeah.
And Psalms 139 is part of that instruction. All scripture really is part of our daily instruction.
I'm not good at quoting numbers, but we need to
I'll
look at it.
definitely get with you offline on that, because I would love to have this kind of a meeting, and I guarantee you Carrie would too.
I think the conversation needs to be had and
Yeah.
let people make their conclusions.
On that, new ruling about highways.
Yes. Not the churches, just churches. 501c3s can not endorse. That's still part of the law, but this has to do with churches.
My church, is very pro-life.
So you guys will probably be endorsing that. So,
Lutherans for life.
Right.
Which is very but we do not allow politicians in our service, because church is about Christ. The focus is Christ. It should be Christ, and our world definitely needs Christ. And Christ is the solution to all of these problems. People could hear the truth.
Well, but don't you think the churches ought to facilitate that, facilitate the discussion?
And we
So-
do in
okay.
other ways, but not by bringing some. That is divine services taught. We don't put politics.
Well, and I will tell you, one of the things we struggle with here in Greenville is finding locations for meetings, for politicians, stump speeches, things of that nature. And right now, we're trying to help, get something set up. And one of the ideas was do it at a fire station. Look at all the fire stations we have around here. Tons of them. You can't get one. The city of Greenville, we actually called and looked at that. The city of Greenville actually has a law that you cannot use those facilities for a politician.
Well, that needs fixing.
Well, it does, but I'm like, and they'll use if you do it for the Republicans, the Democrats will have to do it for them too. I'm like, okay, have a public discussion, public debate. If the Democrats want to have something in the bay of the fire, pull the trucks out and let some people speak. They will do it on local, or they have done. I've seen them do it. We've done it, with local elections, because they look at it more as a public service. But then when you start getting big names, governor or Senate or something like that, U.S. Senate, they start wanting to dial back. I don't want to get into that. And it is an absolute pain. The churches that have facilities, we dealt with one when we did, I guess, the barbecue over at the park. We wanted to have a backup with one of the local churches there, had a gym. And, one of the people that was involved with us, went to that particular institution and said, oh, well, let me check and see if we can use that as a backup in case it rains. We could, go use their gym. You think it's not a big deal? No, they don't want to do it. I'm like, we're just having a barbecue. And I'm like, and they don't want to do it. And I'm like, that has frustrated me to no end with Greenville County. Two things. We moved up here from Charleston. I could not find a good happy hour for wings. Nowhere other than the Mondays we get over at what's the place we go? At Bimini's. I found that half all wings at Bimini's. They had great wings. But Charleston, it was everywhere. There was a happy hour that's the only time we went out. I was not going to a restaurant unless it was happy hour. But there was like 5 places we could go every single day. So it was great. But I couldn't find any up here though. And then it's just this finding a location to have, meetings and presentations and stuff like that. Why would a fire station not think it is a problem to have a candidate for statewide office come have a small 100 people event, in their fire bay right there for an hour. That's it. That's all we want. In and out. And they want it. Yes.
Could I go over my education outreaches?
Sure.
Okay, coming up in August 18th, Marcus Combs is going to give a talk on adoption. He's a bit of a minor celebrity.
So what date is it? 18th?
August 18th.
Okay. It's becoming a very popular date. That's the same
Yes.
date
Yeah.
that we have David Pasco coming,
Oh.
and the same day Sherry Biggs is doing her barbecue. So,
All I'm going to say is I
And
had
you-
that
yeah.
date 3 months ago.
did you?
Anyway, moving on. September.
And where's that event on the 18th?
The 18th is going to be at Denny's.
Okay. So you're it's one of your. Good.
Bridget Van Means is going to give a Zoom talk in September. I know this is going to ruffle a few feathers. Right now, we're working with Mark Lynch to give a talk in October. And going back to questions that we want answered, there's more to pro-life than simply ending abortion. I sent an email to him on various topics we would want, especially at the federal level, because right now, the Supreme Court said that the feds can't control abortion. So being no against abortion is, to me, at the federal level, isn't very helpful, but there's things he can be helpful on. He can be helpful on regulating IVF and IVG. He can be helpful in repealing the FACE Act. He can be helpful in promoting the Restore Act, not Ted Cruz's Act, Restore Act, but the other one, which would encourage natural family planning and things like that. We can see if he can't put some influence on getting the Comstock Act enforced, which would reduce abortion, the mail order abortion pills. And actually, I had like 7 or 8 different topics. So, these are the kinds of questions that we're going to want to know what he stands on, because you just can't to me, you just can't simply say I'm against abortion, and then when the pro-life crowd, there's all these ancillary issues that have to be addressed even at the federal level.
Everything gets very deep, and that particular issue is extremely deep.
And right now, we're reaching out to Lisa Van Riper for November's talk. She's the president of SCCL, South Carolina Citizens for Life. See if we can have her. And also, I don't have a date yet, but Matthew Clark is interested in not having an educational outreach, but still being a guest speaker at one of our business meetings. We just haven't picked the month yet.
Who is he again?
He's with Personhood. SCCL is the biggest pro-life organization in South Carolina. Personhood, I believe, is the second biggest. Definitely in the top 4. I think he's the second biggest.
It'd be great.
Are we done with that part?
Yes.
I still got one question online, which is, I think, important. We're going back to the elections, federal elections. Ginger Ray asked, how many U.S. reps are we going to lose by them running for state offices? This is really disconcerting. The Republicans.
I think I don't think the 5th congressional district.
So the question was, how many federal Congress or federal
Positions.
elected
Yeah.
officials
Yeah.
are running for the state office now that we're going to lose because of the
Good question.
It's very tight. The margins are very tight. It's like 216 to 214 to whatever. Republican versus Democrat. And frankly, we'd be in more trouble right now if 3 of the Democrats hadn't either died or something. I mean, in Congress. I read something about it the other day. It's like 3 of them. And it was talking about how the Democrats are, they're all injured. And
They're injured.
but 3. I don't know exactly what.
Green resigned, the guy from Tennessee.
Oh,
He
really?
stayed around for the vote for the big, beautiful bill, and he retired.
Okay.
A Democrat?
Isn't there a really good guy that's running for the seat though? I think there's a really good person.
And I think they're trying to be more careful about it.
Yeah.
The risk, I don't think there's a risk with Ralph Norman in the 5th congressional district. I think York County is pretty solid. Yeah, Republican. I think there's been concern about Nancy Mace not running for re-election because if she runs for governor, it could be possibility for a Democrat to get in the 1st congressional district down there.
She's been saying she's going to run for governor. She's been saying she's going to run for
Yeah,
governor.
and we expect that she will. So, but then if she runs for governor, she can't run for Congress, right? So you can't run for both, I don't think. So somebody would have to run in the 1st congressional district, and who's going to be that person? So it's going to be interesting to see.
What happened to Mulvaney?
Nick Mulvaney?
Yeah.
I don't know what he's doing now. I thought he was great because he was, all into the numbers and technical and all that stuff. Then you got the Trump derangement syndrome, and it's like, what happened to you? I assume he's doing something. I don't know exactly. But I think who's talked about that spot is Wes Clymer. He's a state senator from up there. We'll see what happens. So I think he's probably the odds-on person. But I don't know. I haven't heard the rumors about people in Charleston.
Climbers, he got Black Hills.
Yeah. So I don't know who will try to replace Nancy Mace down in Charleston. Was there somebody? There was somebody that. So I don't know. Goldfinch is announced he's going to run for Attorney General. But Goldfinch, you got to remember, him and Larry Grooms were the 2 that sat there and trash, led the whatever against Curtis Loftus. So You know, it's these types of things that most people, if you forget them, you know, you think, oh, it's a decent enough guy. You know, I mean, this person that talked about, you know, the the closed primaries, he sounds great until you ask the question, oh, well, why didn't you help work with us to get closed primaries 6 months ago when you could have actually achieved something? You know, but they're going to run around saying, oh, we're all for closed primaries. Well, look at the bill. It's a Freedom Caucus bill. It's not going to go anywhere because anything that the Freedom Caucus puts out there is, you know, dead on arrival. You know, I mean, you can, it is part of the facts of the stuff out there. If you know it's dead on arrival, why are you going around telling everybody that, oh, this is the solution and the other bill's not right and blah, 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 blah. Your bill's not going anywhere because you don't have enough numbers because you don't work with anybody else. And you trash the other people that just ask a simple question like, Adam, where were you during this vote? You know, I mean, we don't want to replace one bad set of rhinos with the future, what I call future rhinos. You know, so I mean, that's been the problem. So that's what we're struggling with, trying to figure out.
Goldfinch is in our favor.
He's not. No. Gold. Yeah, Goldfinch did. Yeah, Goldfinch did go to the Citadel. But I know the people that I know that, you know, I like Curtis Loftus. I think Curtis Loftus is fantastic. You know, I'm so glad he's running for re-election. You know, and I haven't heard anybody's going to run against Curtis Loftus. I can't wait to see somebody try to step up and run against Curtis Loftus because that's going to be so much fun. You know, and I don't know if anybody will. I really don't. They went after him, but it was Goldfinch. You know, we ran the 11 hours of video of that sham trial against Curtis Loftus. And I'm like, we will just have to pick Goldfinch apart all day long because of what he did to Curtis Loftus. You know, it's just,
Well, they'll go against him again this next year.
they could. I mean, right now it's past the Senate and it's whatever it is sitting over in the House. I mean, are they sitting in the House just to hold it over his head, see if they can control him? So, but you know, that's what we got to see what's going on in the background, what's really happening. So they will tell you one thing and then watch what they do, not what they say. So that's what's going on. So what else? Who's got a good fun thing that we've seen? And I got to get with you about that accounting project.
Oh, yeah. I moved into my dorm room August 14th. That's all I got. That's all I got.
Okay.
Clemson. You get Masters in Accounting, and then a Bachelor's of Arts in Political Science.
So a dual major, one that he can actually make money doing
At the same time,
to fund his hobby of politics. Yeah.
Well, so I graduated high school with a year and a half of college credit, so it'll take me 4 years to earn the 2 degrees, then a minor in management information systems.
Wow.
So then that'll be 2029-ish. So it'll be 2 years with some money, then I don't know, if Mace isn't running, then maybe I'll take her spot.
You can move to Charleston and run down there?
Yeah, mommy too.
What does a year in Clemson cost now, or a semester?
$17,000.
How much?
$17,000.
17?
That's what I was.
That's before it. I got about $5,000 in scholarships for the semester. So like $12,000, $13,000 for room, board, classes, books.
That includes room and board?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That used to be
That's what I'm saying.
I have a plan.
Some of the schools are now giving, I mean, like some of these schools you can go to around here, it's like free. I think Georgia Tech, I mean, or Greenville Tech. Yeah, I think it's like almost free. I mean, it's, yeah. But I mean, it's amazing that you can take a class that normally would cost you $250 or $500 or $1,000, and now they're giving away for free. I really don't understand how the economics are going to work out. So, but I'm a big believer in online education. Sir?
I mean, enrollment's going down, isn't college enrollment?
Yes. Well, there was the college, what, Ladston, or there's some college that closed.
Oh, Limestone.
Limestone, yes, yeah. Yeah, I think it literally closed. So it's the economics behind higher education do not fit. You know, it's all available online. You know, you don't need these fancy palatial buildings, and you don't need all that kind of stuff. You know, I mean, I went to the Citadel and it's like, it's astronomically expensive and I get it, they live on campus and do all that kind of stuff, but you can, do it cheaper. Did it cheaper when I was there. And, and I was reading the contract for the new, what we call him, president of the college, from several years ago. And it's like, why is there $25,000 in here for his country club membership at Charleston Country Club? I'm like, you don't tell me there's other alums he can't just go sign on with and play golf with if he wants to actually play golf? Or is it him having to entertain people? I mean, higher education and the presidents of these universities, it is out of control.
It's entertainment.
It's out of control because guess who's going to have to pay it? Kids are going to have to pay it at some point in time. Because what they've done is they allow, they provided financing for everybody to be able to go to school. It's just a loan for a 18-year-old kid. It's like, oh, it's $25,000 loan to go to school a year, or 50. I don't really care. I'm just signing a dotted line. I'm ready to go to college and party. And
Party, that's what it's
that's what most of them, not him. I don't think. I hope not.
I don't think so.
No. Good.
Wait till you get there.
Yeah.
Well, I would have encouraged him to go to the Citadel. Make him shave that beard. Shave his head.
It's not just now start fully coming in, so I want to hang on to it a little longer.
He's gonna be one of those.
Like my mom, so this is nitpicking about it constantly.
I'm sure.
I'm sure.
I'm a pro-beard person. So just so there's not a debate going on.
There's positives of beers and
I'm
there's.
full beard too.
I never saw my husband.
I was
face
married
when
to
I
one.
was there. Never saw beard.
Yeah, mine.
All right. I will say that Columbia University, I think, settled with the Trump administration yesterday. Did everybody see that? They're gonna pay him $200 million.
And
Columbia is paying.
Lindell won his lawsuit.
And Lindell is not gonna have to pay the $5 million. I guess the Court of Appeals ruled that, so that.
Well,
Wow,
that's
20
admit to what
million
they
for the
did to it.
church.
Huh?
They have to admit to.
They did, or he?
Columbia.
Oh, Columbia, yes.
They have to fess up to
Yes.
it.
And that's part of the whole symphony that I'm saying.
What do they have
Yeah.
to admit to?
Probably that they were anti-Semitic.
Wow.
All the anti-Semitism that was
They
going
had
on.
Other big
some
ones.
Jewish students that were, and employees that were
Are they getting paid too?
terrorized.
There's something, there was
It's
some,
an additional 20.
and I did see that the state, or I don't know, the state or city of New York was paying somebody $225,000 or $250,000 because they'd gone after this photographer for refusing to, gay weddings.
Right.
And so they were, I guess, the government was harassing this person into trying to get them into their thought process of compliance. And you're gonna take somebody's business away or their license or ability to work and all that kind of stuff, whatever the client needs. Yeah, and it's I guess this person got pissed off and sued them and they get $250,000 for $225 to settle it. So. I mean, there are so many good things going on. It is literally incredible. But realize a lot of that's on the top level. And as I mentioned to somebody today earlier, there's so much that we have to do at the state and local level. We need to be having those types of victories. And we're getting them, but we're not pounding the table with it as much. I think after this next June primaries and whoever we get, whoever the new governor may be, the new AG, the new, keeping Curtis Loftus in there, whoever we may be able to get, hopefully if it's the right people that are going to shake some things up, I think we can start getting that type of thing locally or within South Carolina that we're seeing at the national level.
The only thing I got on the lighter side, In-N-Out Burger.
What?
In-N-Out Burger.
Okay.
Great burger, great price. With corporate
Is that a
headquarters.
California thing?
It's a big time California.
Oh.
Where they
They're
move?
moving corporate headquarters in Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay.
Oh, I saw that.
In-N-Out
in the
Burger?
news. Yeah.
Wow.
Hopefully they built that around.
It's huge.
So, just on the lighter side.
And then
So they're leaving another exodus from California.
California and why Newsom is over here came to South Carolina. I'm like, it's
Oh my God, he couldn't see Lindsay.
Came to
Touche.
see Linda.
You came to visit Lindsay, yes.
We got an online request for George Washington to wear that T-shirt to the camp meeting tomorrow.
Yes.
Oh, I will be there.
Wear that shirt, so y'all have to either wash it or you took a shower last week, didn't you?
Yeah.
Alligator Alcatraz.
Is there any information on our local ICE agents? Are they?
I'm sorry, what?
Is there any information on our local, do we have local ICE agents and are they being attacked?
We haven't heard anything that, what our focus has been on is whether our sheriff is actually cooperating now, what he has done in the past, whether they're, working with or opposing ICE, that type of stuff. I don't think you're gonna get them, the sheriff and all that stuff, to admit that they were opposing. But what I've been upset about is I think they knew they were dropping people off here and they didn't raise.
100,000.
Right.
Well, I don't know.
That's what I heard on the radio, disaster, I guess.
In Greenville?
No, in the state.
Oh, in the state, yeah.
But concerning the police and ICE, McMaster will not. But
Right, they won't do whatever DeSantis is doing now, deputizing people or whatever, allowing them to be deputized.
Just pull the data.
Nobody, that's what I'm saying, it's gonna take a change at the state level. It's gonna take a new governor, a new AG, new people that are gonna actually, go out and shake things up and do this. I mean, if you watch what Alan Wilson says, I mean, he was writing something today about, he was proud to be, leading some 17 states to do something. I don't know what the heck. I'm like, I haven't seen that guy doing anything. No, is South Carolina the aggressive state, or are we the last state? We are literally, DeSantis is out there doing stuff, and I got my issues with DeSantis or whatever. We'll see where it all pans out. I don't like the fact that somebody got in his ear and talked him into running against Trump.
Yes.
And if he fell for it once, it's possible he would fall for it again. So I mean,
I understood that it actually might be a strategic move.
What?
Take some heat off him or something.
If Donald Trump said that was a strategic move and they wanted DeSantis to take the heat off, I believe, but I
I
don't.
believe what's happening with Elon Musk. It's a strategic move.
There's possibilities with that type of stuff. It's
I don't know.
we'll
I don't
see.
think this is like that.
It's interesting. The whole AI thing that they're going through and all that stuff. It's going to be interesting to see where it all pans out. But DeSantis, from a state perspective, and I think a lot of it had to do with their state house and the House and the Senate down there that were able to actually push some things through. We can't get anything through down here because they're all establishment rhinos or faux freedom caucus people. And but we need people that are going to go down there and shake things up. And if we can get the right people in these offices, we can actually start leading. As what you hear of South Carolina is we're literally like the last to step up and do the things that DeSantis would do. And then when we are the last and step up to do it, we screw it up somehow.
Yes.
That's, if you look at school choice, we are literally the nation's worst rated school choice program. And I have little confidence that they will even have the desire to fix stuff because we know how to fix things. Donald Trump knows how to go in there and fix things. I can tell you how to go down, to Columbia and fix things real easy. Certainly on school choice, that's a no-brainer. You can fix it in like 2 minutes. The state of Georgia has raised $120 million in January 1st, the first day, and we're still sitting at $2 million out of the $12 million cap. The same tax laws in Georgia are the same tax laws here. So they won't fix it for the kids, and they purposely know it's screwed up, and they won't fix it. So they literally look to screw things up and make it worse, as opposed because they're all petty. Whatever ends up happening with this federal school choice program in the state of South Carolina, they're probably going to screw it up, as opposed to say, hey, here's an ability to raise almost an unlimited amount of money, hundreds of millions of dollars for private school choice in the Christian school choice in the state of South Carolina, but the state will probably screw it up because they would dislike oil. Okay, you don't want us going out there to raise all this money because that's probably what they'll do. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe they'll wake up and say, hey, it's such a big enough thing now. We need to do right by the kids. But I have yet to see politicians do right by kids in this state. So,
What do you think about this Russiagate thing that's been found out about what's your name, and Obama kind of guilty, he's not looking so crystal clean now.
I think what Tulsi Gabbard is, or Tulsi,
Yeah, that's her name.
Yeah.
I lost her government.
she's the director of national intelligence. I think she went in there, knew what she was looking for, and she went directly to it and said,
Right.
let's find this. You know, somebody showed the tape of who's the the U.S. senator out of Nevada that was the big Democrat back in those days.
What's it?
I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
Who fell, and you know he's all that kind of stuff. But
Harry Reid.
Harry Reid. But they had him talking about, you know, because when Trump was just the nominee, you know, the Republican nominee and the Democratic nominee, you know, get these security briefings, right?
Oh, yeah.
And they did not want to give Trump the security briefings. And Harry Reid is literally sitting there on video saying that, oh, I told him just give him a fake briefing. A fake briefing? Really? Essentially go lie to the guy?
They pulled
Because
that
you don't like
briefing
Trump.
That showed that Russia
Yes.
was not involved.
They were not
They
involved.
pulled that
Right.
and did not give it to
Right.
Kennedy.
I might have dreamed this, but I think I heard on the radio, Obama said, there's no way they're gonna get me for treason, because I'm not an American citizen.
Well, I'm not an American citizen.
That would be that's so, but I do think, I think somebody had told her what to go look for, and she went directly for it, and she found it,
She did it, didn't she?
and she knew exactly where
She's
that
still
was.
doing it.
They
Yeah,
made a mistake.
but she was a
She was a
Democrat.
Democrat.
She was.
But I think the other thing is you saw, Nome, Secretary Nome, sit there and say they were canceling whatever that program, Safe Skies or Quiet Sky, you know, where they would actually have people follow people on the airplanes and stuff like that. It cost $200 million a year.
Yes.
I think, and they said it has to do with her, Gabbard too. I mean, Tulsi, because I think they were following
Well,
her.
they were.
For real.
I'm like, you know, I mean, it's crazy. It's literally crazy. Think about the amount of money they spent doing these types of things, and it's like, you know, you're surveilling, you know, American citizens. You know, and I will tell you, we started binge watching some show called Person of Interest. Have y'all seen that?
Yeah.
You know, it's the guy that was Passion of the Christ. Yes, yeah, I can't pronounce his last name. But I mean, that was it. You know, all the cameras, everything, they would be able, and you look at it today, and it is not difficult to imagine the ability to do that, especially with artificial intelligence that's coming out now, being able to track, you know. I mean, we're all on camera. You know, that was even the joke a long time ago. You're filmed or taken a picture of 20 some odd times a day. You know, you walk in front of an, you know, it's on now. It's recording. I mean, it's you walk in front of an ATM machine. You walk, you know, it's everywhere. You know, and if you could tap into all that kind of stuff, and with artificial intelligence, you know, track people, and it's not that difficult. And that's it's very dangerous as well. But I'm like, it's the surveillance state. You know, I'm kind of giving out, like, they must know everything about us, and, you know, whatever. But I'm like, you know, it's the ability to survey everything. And I will tell you, even that show, and it was probably 2012, they were talking about it, but they made the comment about Cuba. And in Cuba, they're like, oh, is Castro still even alive? And the guy goes, oh, no, he's dead, but his body double's now got cancer. So, I mean, yeah. Like, I guess even the body doubles get sick and have to die, and they got to replace the body doubles. But I'm like, you know, history has proven they've had body doubles all the time. Like, it's,
Yeah.
you know, how many body doubles did Saddam Hussein have?
Oh, yeah.
You know, they were tracking them down. I'm like, you know, but then we all act like, oh, it's impossible. I don't know. I really don't know. So, all right. Well, it's after 1. Anybody got anything fun they want to talk about?
I have a question.
Okay. Any
I
good?
hope you can make it quick.
We can make it.
The Genius Act,
Yes.
can you kind of bring up some,
Oh.
understand thing, I'm trying to read it. Get this, does it.
I have not studied up on it either.
Okay.
Anybody know much about the
Anybody know
Genius Act?
The Genius Act,
Is that all the AI stuff, or is it?
yeah,
Is it part of the AI? Yeah. I have not dug into it deep, because, you know, I mean,
I've tried to read that.
it's one of those things that I think it's gonna be, everything's gonna be smoke and mirrors, you're not gonna be, you know, you're not gonna fully understand
They're
it.
trying to implement more. So the DoD gave a $200 million contract to XAI to use the new generation of Grok AI for, it was very ambiguous what the use would be, but the fact they're trying to use recent AI advancements to either to both streamline current processes, you know, paperwork and everything, but also likely for the DoD integrating that into our warfighting systems. You have to reply for example, basically it's a flying computer. So we have a lot of algorithms and artificial intelligence systems that work with that, and as well as with data link, at least drone feeds and radar systems into our fighter aircraft. So it's probably just more things to cut down on manpower and wages, saving some of that the real dollars going towards managing our different components at the fighter level. We're going to automate as much as we can in order to speed up processes and decrease flows.
I see people that I trust and like talking bad about all this type of stuff. So it's
remains to be seen.
And like the cloud money up there, doesn't it have to do with UNICEF? Doesn't it have to do with the Bitcoin and the
Bitcoin, is there Bitcoin stuff in
and the
there?
cloud money that's floating around?
There was a bill about creating a
Stable coin.
that and then creating like basically a reserve bank for
Right.
cryptocurrency. That got shot down.
Well, they don't want a centralized digital currency.
Because it's the whole point of having in the first place.
Right. But there is some dollar denominated stable Bitcoin thing that they're talking about.
It's going to depend a lot on which AI networks are going to which systems. I don't know the specifics about which ones they would be using.
There is a huge battle going on in the background, and I'm not sure who's on what side.
I would say that as far as AI is concerned, AI is inherently dangerous, but it's also a reality. So do you want the enemy to know how to manipulate AI really well and us to stay in the dark ages?
No.
We are required to have AI to beat the other AI in a way. I mean, I'm just saying, generally speaking, because my son and I had this conversation. So it's like AI is a reality that we just have to learn and train and find some backdoor entries in some ways to make it controllable. And so it cannot get out of hand. But
I think we need to
can't
be
just say-
the leader in it. We don't
We
want the
are the leader.
Chinese. Yes.
We are the leader
Yes.
right now.
We need to
China's-
stay there.
they've been working, I know about AI since the 80s, so, but as far also as, I think they're doing something now, you might join in with some of your information about moving, the US will become the leader worldwide in crypto, and it will be in Tennessee. Did anyone hear that? That they've got the supercomputers that are there.
Oh, yeah. I saw news article about that. I mean, there's been a lot of those out in the announced recently. I may not be thinking the same one.
It was just, so much information comes in so quickly, and you don't always have time to fit it out.
As I said, I think there's a big battle going on. We don't really know who's on what side, who's trying to do what. It's going to be a hard one to figure out, but it's a reality. It's something we're going to have to deal with. You know, I get confused about, we're going to spend the amount of electricity that is necessary for these server farms and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, where is that going to come from? Yeah.
Trump likes gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's gonna be interesting to see what.
Yeah.
Another that came out was that the Biden regime quietly allowed contracts or contracts to manage our cloud, which became our military
Yeah, I was gonna-
information.
Oh,
by the Chinese.
yes,
Microsoft.
yes.
Really?
They know all the secrets for the FBI, the military.
Yeah, like we have no secrets.
We have no secrets then.
Well, yeah, every time you create a page using any Microsoft product, it's owned by the enemy, right? So it's kind of like, and even the photocopying machine. So that, and I think with the cloud, Apple is quite delinquent. I mean, they're quite nasty, but I think the original Apple guy was extremely good. but it's just who Apple is behind. So just be careful, don't trust all of these things.
What's going on with TikTok?
I don't know, they gotta cut a deal. It's gonna be shut down.
Trump gave them another 90 days, I think.
Yeah, I think so, there's something. But Ludwig said if the Chinese don't come back and cut a deal, it's gonna get turned off in America, so.
The data center we were talking about, it's the Colossus 2 going down in Memphis. It's a AI training center. It's something like 2,000. Yeah, Memphis, Tennessee. It's like 2,000 GPUs, graphics processing units. That's under XAI, which are the clear to Grok. I believe there's the same people who got the DoD contract. I believe there's a cooperation between Tesla, SpaceX, and then XAI to like own using that same AI platform. So.
And that's the reason why we really need these rare earth minerals from those different countries. So it's
Afghanistan and China.
Yeah. Currently they're coming from Indonesia.
Wasn't AI created to run the CERN collider originally, or do you know?
I'm not familiar with that.
Find out and let me
I do
Well,
know.
it probably could be.
With-
You gotta look at AI as like a tool, you know what I mean? It's like,
I know.
was the computer used to run?
That's a deep conversation. I'm just worried about vasectomies and tubal ligations. You got AI
Don't get
running
me
some.
started.
Yeah.
What you really need to worry about
Hey, that's
is
gonna be making a
IVG.
decision.
I mean, a laptop is used to create
Basically
good stuff, but you also use it to create good stuff too. It's like, it's
The
just a
Matrix
tool.
world is within 10 years of being a reality.
It's, all of this stuff is very close to reality. It's coming here faster and faster. It's
told
gonna
her-
create a lot of issues if we have got good decisions.
I'm told,
Yeah.
I'm told in California, they're already, it's a thing for fine dining. They have salmon created by IVG. And apparently it's a specialty in California.
Delicious.
Okay, kids.
Yeah.
It's 1:15. I know some people need to run, so we're gonna sign off and we'll be back next Friday.
IVG is what you really need.